let's start on Monday because that's always a new day of the COZ event. So, like most people know, it is Gathering Day then, and you always want to send out your gathering troops before the day actually starts, so you can call them back as soon as you can and have the most resources already. I personally don't really do that because, well, people can fuck you over by just attacking your gathering troops. But if you send them far away from your base, you might be lucky. During the Monday, I personally don't really do a lot of daily tasks. However, the ones in orange in this schedule are usually the relatively easy ones to go for. Uh,
Okay.
there is an additional reason for that. For instance, here you see the building and building speed up moment, uh, which you may think is great because then I can just boost out one or two buildings and get gold. But the problem is if there is building and building speed up or research and research speed up, the amount of points you need to get to the gold daily task is also increased by a lot. So therefore it may be easier to just focus on the ones that just go for building and training, or building tech and training. However, after the weekend, I tend to go and hit my farms and set up for build day, which is on Tuesday, which gets you a lot of points for building. And if you spend all your resources on Monday, then you won't have any for Tuesday, of course. Um, and by going over the other days, I think you can get a pretty clear understanding of Monday as well. So on Tuesday, you get points for upgrading buildings for the COZ. And I have
Mm-hmm.
that here as well. Uh, this is another breakdown of the day of what you have to do for every hour of the day. So you get points for upgrading your buildings, and different buildings give different amounts of power when you upgrade them, of course. For instance, the chip factories are really good for getting you points at starting at level 13 or something. War rooms are really good at getting you points. The garrison hall is also really good, just upgrading your base. Things like that. You can go into the more information button uh, in the game to see how much power each level of a building will get you. What you want to do in preparation of build day, if you want to upgrade, for instance, the garrison hall or your base, which takes several days to do most of the time, is make sure you start them in advance so that they finish on Tuesday. And of course, here you see again the building tech and training, etc. These are not the ones you want to go for in preference. And why is that? Because here you can see there's a building tech and training, so you get the threshold for the gold chest isn't that high, and it is followed by another building one. It also works here, by the way. And what you can do is in the last 15 minutes or something of the hour, you can activate a COZ ticket, which works for 30 minutes. So you can get it in the last part of this hour, then upgrade all your buildings, and it will carry over into the next hour, during which you can upgrade more buildings. So that way you can basically get a gold daily chest for 2 daily tasks, while still getting the bonus points for the COZ ticket. Um, and maximizing the points you get for the COZ ticket, especially as you get to the higher level rewards, is going to be key to actually get those 5th and 6th COZ chests. Especially since the COZ bonus tickets are very limited. If your building is going to take a long time to finish, you can also use the speed up hours. What you will want to do then is spend an amount of speed up so that the building doesn't finish right away, because you don't get points for finishing the building in the daily tasks. So for instance, if it's going to be 2 more hours till the building event, like if you would do it here, you could use a couple of hours of speed ups if you still need like 8 or 10 hours for that building to finish, for instance. So you would just get it ready to finish at the time where you would want to use a COZ ticket. That way you can get a purple chest or maybe even a gold chest for the speed ups as well. Uh, Personally, I don't really mind it that much, and yeah, I can probably improve a lot more in my daily tasks, but with the amount I'm getting, I'm pretty content. Do you have any questions for build day?
No, not.
No? Okay. Research day is relatively similar to build day. However, of course, you can only get one research going at a time. And usually research is a lot shorter than buildings that give a lot of power. Additionally, you only get 400 points for every power you increase. So you need quite a bit more research power than building power to get gold chests on the daily task. What you want to do here, again, of course, is start a good research on Tuesday so that you get a lot of points on Wednesday for a long one. The research that gets the most amount of points is zone commemoration, as well as parts production. However, for zone commemoration, you of course need a lot of courage medals, and for parts production research, you need a lot of energy cubes. And like I sent earlier this week, I think this is one of the parts production research that is quite a bit down already, but this gives about 7k power for just this one research. An added
Okay.
advantage of this is that this research, this particular one, requires food and wood, which are probably the most abundant resources most people have. While many other researches, for instance the vehicle research or the APC research, often requires oil and iron, which are a lot more scarce for most people. So here again you have the speed up, and for instance a tech speed up, which for me is like 14 million points for a daily task, which is a lot, whereas the ones with building and tech, for instance, or the building tech and training speed up, they only require like 4.5 million points because they don't have the tech combined with the tech speed up. So what I would do here is these 2 hours, or these 2 hours, and of course the last 2 hours of every 8-hour block. I would go and activate a COZ ticket at the end of the hour again to carry it over into the next and get two gold daily chests. Usually doing exactly the zone commemoration and parts production research, but of course sometimes you may need only very few points to finish off the chest, because you don't want to overshoot it. You may want to do some other research quickly in between.
Mm-hmm.
Even though here you don't get points for tech speedups, I do usually speed up through a lot of tech there, but you don't get points for it, but it is still a lot easier to get a gold chest just for getting the reward for the research itself than when you combine it with the tech speed up.
Okay.
And I just mentioned blocks of 8 hours. So here you can see that there's a block of 8 hours going on every time. This block of 8 hours is repeated 3 times during the day. So everything I discuss here is the same right here and here. And of course, these are all the state times. Is Research Day also a bit clearer now?
Yes.
Yes? Glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we go to Thursday, Hero Day. I think most people are quite well aware of Hero Day. A lot of good videos are out there. I'd advise the tripAholix one, but I think you have already seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be very brief, just for completion's sake. Again, you want to try and use a COZ ticket at the end of the hour so that it carries over into the next, and you can get big COZ rewards for completing 2 dailies. I personally tend to not kill the zombies, especially with Doomsday going on. You need your durability on your APCs elsewhere in general. But the all hero development and wisdom medals, for instance, that's one I quite like. Because it's relatively simple. You can do some recruits here as well. If you want, you can also do them in the first hour to get a purple chest. I tend to do them at the same time. And you get a bunch of green heroes, which you can level up a bit, unlock some skills, and do the hero trick with putting a lot of wisdom medals into a single green hero. There's either level 6 or level 12, and upgrading the skills as much as you can, and then just splitting the hero to get most of the wisdom back, which can just continue into the second hour. So that's pretty much going on all day. These are actually blocks of 4 hours, I believe, so it's a bit simpler of a day. Okay, that takes us to Friday. Friday is the day where you probably have the option to gain the most amount of power all week. Because a lot of the power people have is often troops. Personally, I have about 5.5 million power right now. And I think 400 to 500,000 of that is from buildings and technology, and all else is from troops. So you can really make a big difference here. And as you can see here, there are, in each block of 8 hours, there are 2 blocks highlighted. These are the blocks where there you get points for where the dailies give points for training, but do not also have the training speed up requirement. So during the end of the 5th hour, you will want to activate your COC ticket. And then you start training troops and speeding them up rapidly. Using zone commemoration research, for instance, as well as, let me quickly check. It's basic combat, I think. You have the option to recruit a lot more troops at once, which will mean less clicking, which is always nice. Basic military, sorry. So for instance, I create almost 4,000 trucks at a time if I want to. And using the zone commemoration and basic military, you can also decrease the amount of time it takes to train these. For instance, those 4,000 trucks take me about 9 hours to train, which is a lot less than people that don't have this decrease in production time, or training time, I should say. So at the end of the hour, you're gonna start training those troops and speeding through them as much as you can. Of course, you're gonna stop again after getting the gold daily task. At that point, you probably have about 4 million points, and with your COZ ticket, it's going to be either 6 million total, or even 8 million total, depending on the ticket you use, and on your zone commemoration research, because there's also commemoration research which gives you more points for doing certain things. And again, into at the start of the next hour, you're gonna again train a lot more troops, so you get another 4 million points or something for the daily, or however much you need, because it depends on your base level. And again, it's gonna double or give you another 50% because of the same COZ ticket. And because of that, you save a lot of COZ tickets because you do not get a lot. I currently, if I'm able to keep up doing COZ properly, then I can usually get to the 6th chest for the COZ, which also has 2 COZ tickets for 50%. However, if you can't do that, you only get the ones from the Alliance rewards, of course, which is, for us, generally 2 a day at most. And if you do this correctly, well, because you need quite a bit of points in general, you are probably, if you even do 2 and you're at 1,000,000 power, you're probably gonna get like 500,000 power on that Friday, just for doing the 2 dailies and completing your COZ that day. After that, like for instance for me, I got like 500,000 points using only 2 hours of it yesterday. It just goes faster and faster as you get more zone commemoration research done, as your troop training time decreases. However, of course, I'm not really needing a ton more power at this point. At least I feel that way, and I'd just lose a ton of troops if I'd get attacked. Is training day a bit clearer right now?
I have one more question for the hero development day.
Yes.
When I use the wisdom medals,
Mm-hmm.
I run out quickly.
Yeah.
So then I don't have medals anymore to upgrade my heroes that I actually use.
Yes. That is a tricky balance. I'm well aware of that. I also run into that problem. Usually on Hero Day, I tend to just go for the COZ. However, of course, you do want to also increase the skills on the heroes that you do use. Um, do you do second Hero Day on Sunday?
Sometime.
Okay, because that of course also uses a lot of wisdom medals, doing it twice. However, there's also a building that is called, let me check. I'm looking this up on my phone because I don't have it built on the farms that are bound to my computer. It's the one where you can exchange medals. It's a military academy. Personally, I can right now exchange 26 medals a day. Of course, I can't keep that up all week because then I just wouldn't have enough enough medals to do it on research day. Which you can also do during all hero development, because you get a bunch of points for just exchanging the medals of split heroes into wisdom medals at that time. If you do not have it at a high enough level to get a bunch of medals in one go, then what you will want to do, and what I should also be doing on my farms, is exchange a couple of medals every day. You won't get points for it, but at least you will have a lot more wisdom medals ready, because exchanging the medal of a split green hero gives you, I think, 5 wisdom medals, and it increases as the ranks of the split heroes goes up, of course. And yeah, that will get you a lot more wisdom medals. Even if you do 1 a day for 5 wisdom medals, that would of course already be 35, which is already 70k points. So that's a nice bonus, I'd say. Is that clear now? Okay, cool. So Saturday, killing event. As the name suggests, it mainly gets a lot of points for fucking up the enemy state. However, there is of course a big risk to that. People try to lure you out to lower your shield, and then a bigger guy attacks you, takes all of your resources, and brings you back down very far. I personally haven't attacked anyone during the killing event for 3 or 4 weeks now, because I've just been shielding up and doing all my battling in the Doomsday battles, which still costs troops, but for now at least they can't attack your base, so they can't take stuff from you, and it's a lot harder to fill up your hospitals. Speaking of hospitals, these are very important buildings if you're gonna be participating in the killing event. I currently on my main have a hospital capacity of 190,000, most of which is from research, I think. What's the research called again? It's right next to basic military and the class APC. It is the improved medical facilities. It decreases the cost for healing, it increases the healing speed, but also the wounded capacity, for instance. There is also some research in zone conflict, which helps with the hospital capacity. However, I'd suggest staying out of zone conflict until you are done with zone commemoration, since it also requires a lot of courage medals, and doing zone commemoration first will gain you more courage medals quickly. So I'd say stay away from the zone conflict unless you really want to. So when you have a lot of hospital room, then of course you can attack people. Usually you want to attack people that have just sent their APC out to attack someone else, for instance, because then they are weaker, of course. However, that's not always necessary. Sometimes you can just overpower them easily, and you may have some losses. However, that's not the main problem. The main problem is when they hit you when they are away, because even the troops that are not in an APC, they can still get wounded. So if you are attacked, it's easy to lose, well, even 200,000 troops if it's a really big hit. And you have a lot of troops that are not in an APC just sitting around in your town. At that point, your hospital is going to overflow, and everything that doesn't fit in the hospital is going to get fucked up, and you just lose those. So that's when you can lose a lot of power, which is also kind of holding me back, since losing 4 million power for me at this point is going to set our alliance back quite a bit, I'd say. Beyond that, you again have the training moments highlighted in the schedule to continue from Friday. However, the COZ only gives points for killing troops, not for training troops. So if you're gonna really train a lot of troops, I'd suggest doing it on Friday, because, well, you only get the daily chests for them on Saturday. Is Saturday clear now?
For the killing event, if you want to participate, how many teleports do you need?
Well, that really depends on how long you want to keep going. You will want probably at least 5 to 10 random teleports just to get away if you're gonna be doing a lot of it. However, something to be careful of: when you are attacked, you can teleport away. However, you can't do so with a random teleport. That fucked me over before. You have to teleport away with an advanced teleport first, so that the attack is no longer coming into you, and also all your troops are back home. After that point, because you often have to be fast because you teleport right next to you, then you move very close to them, but just in a different position. So, for instance, you just skip to the other side of their base. At that point, you will either want to shield up quickly, if you can already, because of course there's a cooldown on the shield if you attacked and thereby lost it. And if you can't shield up, you want to random teleport away so that they can't easily find you anymore. The random teleport is also quite useful for when you appear on the news feed, because at that point everyone knows where you are, and it is a lot cheaper to use a random teleport than it is to use an advanced teleport. It's 500 versus 2000 diamonds, I think. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
And of course, advanced teleports, well, also really depends on how often you want to keep going. At the end of the killing event, you will be teleported back for free, so you won't need one to go back. But if you want to go back during the weekend already, then you do need another advanced teleport to change back to your original state.
So it's only one time.
Yes, yeah, you can go there for free once, and if you wait it out, you can go back for free. But switching between states during the weekend, you will have to pay using an advanced teleport.
Okay.
Am I forgetting something? Yeah, around the launch site, this is probably not going to be important for a while, but around the launch site, you can't shield up, which has also fucked me over before. So, yeah, you have to be careful going too close to their or our launch site if you just want to get kills. And well, Sunday is a relatively easy day. Here it says kill event, which is the default if you don't choose something else. However, you can choose any of the other days, and they have a modifier for how your points translate to alliance points, etc. Many people go for another hero day, for instance. If you can get enough wisdom medals, that's a great idea because, well, hero day is a lot of easy points in general. Also really good rewards. However, if you don't have a lot of wisdom medals, you're not going to get very far on another hero day, of course. Before the border dropped, I used to just have another gathering day because, well, it's something to do passively and you can save up more resources for the week. However, with the killing event going on during the weekend, I don't trust people not to attack gathering troops because, well, if you want points, those are the easiest targets. So I tend to go for either a building day if I have buildings lined up that have a lot of points, which I'm doing this weekend because I can upgrade my 3 of my chip buildings to level 20, for instance, which give a lot of points already. I can upgrade a bunch of war rooms to get even more points. So this week I'm going to be doing another building day. However, for instance, last week I did another research day because sometimes you just have a whole lot of courage medals, which makes it relatively easy to get, for instance, level 6 on the research day for the COZ. What is important to note that these blocks of information for the daily tasks are only for the killing event day. If you choose to go for a building day, you also get the daily tasks that belong to the building day. So you'll again want to go for these times or these times. Similar for research and hero day, of course.
Okay.
A thing to keep in mind, though, of course, is if you choose to go for a building day or a research day or whatever, is that you do not want to only get a purple COZ chest because you don't have enough. And because you do a second one, also not have enough to get a gold on the actual day that it would normally be. Because the gold chests for COZ are just like the gold chests for daily tasks, are a lot more valuable than the purple ones. So it is a bit of a judgment call there. What for me makes research day very attractive to do on Sunday is that I have a couple of buildings producing energy cells relatively efficiently. Try to keep them running every day of the week for most of the time that I can. That way, I tend to have, in general, at least 6K energy cells up to 20K. And like I said, parts research, which uses these energy cells, gives a lot of points. So it's relatively easy for me that way to get a golden research day chest. But to be producing energy cells efficiently, you need those buildings to be higher. Otherwise, it's just going to cost you a lot of money, and you can't produce a lot at the same time. Because as you upgrade them, you can produce 20 more cells at a time every level. But it's also more efficient. It makes more efficient use of the cash that you put in. So right now, I think I have a reduction of like 20 or 30% of the cash that it takes to produce energy cells, which is a pretty big deal. However, upgrading those buildings gives you barely any points, and it costs a lot of energy. So it's you gotta weigh it out a bit. That brings us back to Gathering Day. Of course, you can on Sunday evening send out your troops, for instance. Like I said, I don't like to do so, but it would be best for your Gathering Day. And here as well, you can again see the highlighted blocks for when you would want to be finishing certain stuff. But you mostly want to do those things on the appropriate days, of course. Is this schedule clearer now?
Yes, thank
Because
you.
it's a lot of information that is in here. However, it barely
Mhm.
says anything on its own.
Yeah. And for
Okay.
the game in general,
Mm-hmm.
what buildings are important to upgrade and which are not?
Um, well, for build day, like I said, those buildings that I mentioned give a lot of points. Resource buildings, for instance, give barely any points, and storage buildings are absolutely not worth it for build day. They require a ton of resources, take a lot of time to complete, um, but you do need them, of course. If you want to upgrade your base to level 21, you need to be able to store 28 million iron, for instance, and just upgrading your iron storage to that level is going to take a long time and a lot of oil. Um, the main things to focus on in general, though, most people, especially raiders, of course, uh, like to use vehicle-only APCs when attacking. There's a very simple reason for that, and that's that they are a lot faster, and you can upgrade them to be even faster than they already are. So I would advise your first priority for troop production to be vehicles, and get those to tier 7, and of course once you get to level 22 to tier 8 as soon as you can. The other ones are a lot less important when you are only attacking the normal way. Shooters give a lot of power, so when you have to take something down that's powerful, or when you're defending, they are very good. And when you are attacking doomsday plots, fighters are actually the best because they have a very high destructive power. So you can take down those doomsday plots and buildings in less attacks, which saves on durability, which is actually the limiting factor during those doomsday battles, or just taking plots in general. Something else you want to focus on, well, of course, getting the chip buildings upgraded. You want to get those done usually on build day because of the amount of points they give. But you also want to be producing chips to create missiles, but I personally don't create many missiles. They are, however, very useful for doomsday battles because you can just blast everyone that's under level 19 away. Um, but you also use them for the war rooms, which you will also want to upgrade on build day. Um,
Okay.
other buildings, if you want to go for research technology, of course, you want to upgrade what's it called? The the energy cell production buildings, because these barely give any points. You don't want to do those on build day, so you want to do those during the rest of the week. However, to just level quickly, all I can advise is to go for the minimum requirements needed to actually upgrade your main base. So
Okay.
just get the farm to level 11 if you want to become level 12, for instance. Get your garrison hall to level 16, as well as the vehicle factory to level 16 if you want to become level 17, stuff like that. Um, of course, those tend to take up a lot of time near the end. During that time, you may also want to upgrade your resource production, for instance, and your resource storage, because you still do need resources to actually get all those things done. For the longest time, I spent just going after those minimum requirements and resource buildings, uh, and the vehicle factory, just to get more troops going. But I didn't focus on anything else, so I stayed at level 19 for a while and caught up on a lot of things. Uh, because before that, I was just making sure to get to level 19 so I could get anti-missiles, so I wouldn't be missiled away easily.
Okay.
Is there anything else to really focus on? Yeah, another pretty good building to upgrade on build day is the research center. Uh, you may think, well, what does the research center give me besides unlocking more technology research? It also gives you a decrease in the amount of time it takes to research technology. At this point, mine is level 17, which gives you a 75% reduction in time, I think. And at level 20, it's going to be 100% reduction in time. I don't. It doesn't make them instant, of course, so I don't know why they call it a 100% reduction. But it does decrease the amount of time spent significantly, which in turn decreases the amount of research speedups you have to use, of course. So that is also a pretty good one to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I wouldn't put a lot of diamonds towards unlocking more war horns or offensive components uh, to upgrade your tower and your garrison and stuff like that. They are relatively expensive. They don't gain you a lot of power. They don't gain you a lot of defenses or anything, unless you get to the really late point, at which point my tower is taking like 400 offensive components to upgrade one level right now, which means it's about 5,000 gems just to gain one level, or diamonds, sorry. Um, and unless you have a lot of diamonds like I do, I have about 190k right now, then it's not going to be worth it. You want to use those diamonds on research day, for instance. There you can use diamonds to get more speed ups, while it is still worth it because the daily tasks give you like 3,000 diamonds as a reward. So it's relatively easy to break even or even make a profit even when you are spending diamonds on research day. So for that purpose, you want to hang on to a bunch of diamonds. As long as you're under 50k diamonds, I'd say skip on the tower and stuff.
Okay.
Is there anything else important? I can't really think of anything right now. It's nice to upgrade the commercial port, the helicopter pad, because you get better deals for more amounts of resources. And you can at some point also, excuse me, at some point you can also gain access to buying parts for resources, so you don't have to produce a lot of materials in your building for that, which is relatively slow. So buying the parts is very nice. And I guess that does bring up something else that's really important. In the late game, it's going to be important to equip your APC with parts. To produce these, you also need those energy cells, so it's good to get those going, and it is what the parts research is for. The parts are made in the parts factory, in which you can produce materials at first. And at first it's only going to be for the Trailblazer until you get the building to level 20. Which is of course going to take a long time and a lot of energy cells. The Trailblazer is the gathering vehicle. And the parts that you can make for the Trailblazer will help in gathering iron, for instance, give you more experience, be more protected when gathering, stuff like that. However, for attacking, you will want one of the specific vehicles. You can purchase these parts for them in the at the helicopter port, and you can also, if you purchase the materials there, you can also create the parts for them. However, you cannot craft the materials yet for a while. Because it is going to take you a long time to craft enough materials to build a part. For my Trailblazer, I'm trying to build tires, and I want to make them the golden quality, because those just give you the best bonuses. I've already spent 3 or 4 weeks running my parts factory. Well, I try to run it 24/7, but that's pretty difficult, especially at first. And I still don't have enough resources or materials to do so. So you want to get started with producing materials as soon as you can. What you generally want to do is upgrade for the Trailblazer, upgrade or build the sensors, because those take the longest. That way you can keep producing something at all times if you are not very actively online. However, through the part production research, and upgrading the parts factory, you can also gain more slots on the assembly line, so you can build more materials at in a row. That way, right now, I can produce 7 sensors over the course of about 7 hours, which tends to be enough when I start them before I go to sleep. However, 7 times 20 minutes is also not a bad time for me, since I'm online quite a bit. So I also, during the day, produce the ones that take a lot shorter, but the ones that I do still need. Personal preference, I guess. In the end, you're gonna need specific materials to make specific parts, so you're probably gonna need them eventually anyways. In order to equip those parts, you can press on the truck icon right next to the
Durability.
yeah, exactly, to durability, etc. in the APC menu. After equipping them, you can also take them off again and put them on a different APC. There's no worries there, but I know there's if you want, you can take a chance on the parts production, because there are chances involved when you create parts. If you use 3 blue items and 1 green material to create a part, because you always need 4 materials to create a part, you have a 75% chance to get the blue part. But you also still have a 25% chance to use to get the green part, because you used the 1 green material. If you want to take those odds, it can save you a lot of time creating materials, especially if you use the longest one that at a lower level. However, we all know what happens with hero recruits, and how likely it is to get something and you eventually expect something, or with the rapid production where you expect a 75% chance, you can still get shit luck and just get the lower quality part and still lose the golden materials, which you spend a lot of time on. So I well, if you want to gamble on it, that's up to every single person, of course. But I personally don't like that.